I'm going to put some dubstep in there.
Will you?
I'm going to put a little bit in there and T-Pain your voice with that, you know? Can't be that hard.
Please do it.
Can't be that hard
Little
to do.
auto-tune.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, who uses auto-tune?
Who
But I'm
uses
gonna leave
auto-tune?
that.
Yeah. Except T-Pain. I thought that was
I love
there
T-Pain.
was something with him. I don't remember where I saw it. It's a YouTube video. He suffered a lot of flack for that.
Really?
Yes, and they put him on a deep depression or something like that. It really messed him up.
Oh.
I think he's fine now. I think he's kind of overcome it, but I don't know why or where I saw that.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I know nothing about T-Pain.
I don't either. That's why I'm like, I just remember when he was, really famous.
I literally only know the name. I couldn't pick him out of. I have no idea what he looks like. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't hardly pick anybody out, like famous people.
I really can't either. Not too much. I know some of the pillars, some of the most famous ones, but I don't listen to them.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's just funny.
Yeah. Welcome to the Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
I like the banter early on in the beginning. Sometimes some of the just little random stuff we talk about.
Do you know what I realized I don't like?
What?
Is other people's banter.
God. Maybe people don't like our banter.
Probably. No, it was funny. I was listening to this podcast by these two pastors because I saw some clips on Instagram and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a really good thing. I loved some of the things that they were saying. Then I go and listen to them and they're just bantering about playing golf. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
This is terrible.
I was about to say when it's about a sports or a game or something, I'm like, I want to fast forward it, but I don't want to miss anything. I'm like, hey, just get to the point.
Yeah. Anyways.
In other news, I did the math, which means nothing. But according to my calculations, our 100th episode will fall the beginning of the year. So I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if we released it around Christmas? And then I thought, well, we have missed a handful of weeks. We could play catch up.
And drop 2 at a time.
Maybe until we get to 100 and make it around Christmassy December time. I'm willing to.
That could be really cool.
Yeah. And then have a Christmas 100th episode party, but also break even because we have missed a few weeks in the lifespan of our 2 years. So,
yeah.
All right.
I think that's an option.
Yeah, I think so. It's obviously finding time for it.
We all have the time for it.
Yeah.
Just where can you put it?
Yeah. What do you do with your time? I guess how do you chop it up and utilize it?
All right. Let's dive into this. Interesting story. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's actually not that interesting, but it was something that I was legitimately proud of. So I decided to start running just because of your encouragement. And I'm starting out really slow. So we've been doing the 75 hard, and
where are we at?
Day 30.
Okay. I don't have the app.
You're just doing it?
I'm just doing it. The app's too much extra, but I see.
Listen, it was the most valuable thing that I have.
Yeah.
To knock off stuff.
Yeah, I can see how it could help with that.
Yeah.
We're on day 30?
We're on day 30.
Hey, almost halfway there.
Yep. 5 days, we'll be halfway. But there's so many things I've appreciated about this challenge.
Yeah.
One of them, though, was to really just get me moving again.
Yeah.
Because, when you have a lot of stress in your life, it's very easy to take the back road and stop doing things. And that's what I did for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Or I would half-ass work out.
Right.
But now, committing to it, it's been great for me. So James and I were on the trail the other day, and I was struggling. I was struggling. But James was like, hey, maybe you just start and you just see how long you can go as slow as you can go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's a brilliant idea. Because as a used-to-be runner, like sprinting and when we owned the gym and whatever, I would do a ton of sprints, but I'd never go for long distances. So James gave me this great idea. I went for a run. I was like, you know what? I'll just run. Because the first time I ran was 15 minutes. And then I was like, you know what? This time I'll do 20. I can do 20.
Yeah.
Well, as I like get to 20 minutes, I was like, you know what? I think I can do 25. So then I just shoot for 25. And then I'm like, you know what? I think I can do 30. And about the 30-minute mark, I look up. I normally do not run looking at the clouds, but I did. And I looked up and I could literally see in the clouds these elephants. And I was like focusing in on it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started having like this profound vision in which the Lord really spoke. I'm not going to dive into that, but which the Lord really spoke some significant things to me. And it was just like this buzz that actually carried me through where I ran 3.73 miles and had no idea. Like the last 20 minutes.
It's incredible.
It was so invigorating. But it was like trying to like almost challenge myself to get into that mode. But as soon as that mode clicked, I was just like,
you get into autopilot and you're free to dream. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because that was a struggle. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure.
But
yeah,
I felt like I kept a decent pace, you know.
That is a decent pace.
For my second real time of doing it. But
yeah.
Anyways, I called my sister, and my sister was like, because my sister is an avid runner. Like, she's like, all right, so we're planning our half, right?
Yeah.
So I agreed. We're going to do a half marathon.
Oh, good.
In February.
Oh, good. The weather will be perfect for it, too.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I guess we're doing it.
I did. Well, like my thing was, and I never listened to any runners. Everybody, I had a friend of mine recently say, hadn't seen him in a long time, but we were talking about running. I told him how much I run. He was like, we've been listening to David Goggins or something. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even know who he was until after I ran my first marathon.
Really?
Yes. I'm not.
It's funny.
Anyways.
Oh, Goggins.
Yeah. I do enjoy listening to him. But there's something deep down, there's something there.
He definitely can spark inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I was the same way. Early on when I started running, because I was like, I would gas myself like I'm going to actually run. And I couldn't get a lap around a track. And then it turned into, James, why don't you run as slow as you possibly can? Like one of those old ladies that pumps their arms, but they're actually walking. Do just slightly more than that.
Yeah.
And that's where the distance comes in. The pace could be really slow, but the distance shows up. And then there was one day I was running and I had the most god-awful shoes. The soles, I did not know the value of shoes.
Yeah.
These were some like old shoes and the sole was like slick. I didn't know. But one day I ran, and this is like when I quit smoking, I smoked my last cigarette and I said, oh, that was it. That was the last one. With this running thing, I was like 5 miles in and I thought, well, I've got time. So what's a half marathon? And I Googled it while I was running because I didn't know. And I just decided, all right, we're doing this today.
Wow.
And did it. So that's probably what's going to happen with you. You're going to have one day that you don't expect. You're just going to say, well, let's do 8 today.
That's actually how I felt. Just even going, the 3.7.
Yeah, it'll happen. But there's joy in it. It's like you dig, and then there's joy. And I was thinking about this yesterday on my runs. I've been doing 2 a day because it's 75 hard. And I was getting downloads. I get downloads from the Lord on these runs a lot. And I mean, just different things. And yesterday was just inspiration. And I jotted them down and I misspelled a bunch of things because I was running. Oh my gosh.
Lay it on
elephants.
thick.
I knew elephants is in here.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. But I was running, and anyway, I got these downloads, and I was like, "Oh, it's so valuable. I'm so thankful that I did this. That I followed this thing because early on, it's shin splints, and there's some pain.
Oh yeah.
But if you keep doing it, it goes away eventually.
I thought that was interesting. So I had texted James, just letting him know after my first 15 minutes. I was like, "Bro, I can't believe I ran 15 minutes," which I was surprised. Normally I'm like 5 minutes and toasted, but I was like, oh, I'm surprised I went 15. But I text James. I was like, yeah, I was like in excruciating pain the whole time. And he was like, oh, don't worry, those will go away. And I literally thought, I didn't say this to you, but I thought, bro, this thing hasn't gone away since I had Bexley. Like this was like, it felt like it was damage that was done.
Mm-hmm.
It never hurt.
Oh, good.
In the second run, it never hurt.
Good.
My hips hurt, but not that tendon that actually got ruptured, which to me was a massive win.
There's a consistency with it. It's like if you were to switch over and do like a bunch of hills and trails or even new shoes, you might get the shin splints again. But if it's a consistent, you're doing the similar thing, it'll strengthen that stuff and you won't have that pain anymore.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the value of running, and I try to write this down. I need to find a system where I can like journal talk while I'm running.
Do a voice memo.
I may do that, but I put running is an induced state of prayer, intention, and something else. But it is. It's like you're putting your flesh into submission. It's like mowing the yard. You're doing something. You put it into submission. It is like that because you're making yourself do it, and you're constantly making a decision. It's constantly, I'm going to keep doing this. My mind is, I'm in control here.
Yeah.
And then it gets to that point where you're like, okay, now subdued. You're there. What do you have to say? That kind of thing. Meditative state or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when like downloads show up for me. But gosh, where is it? Oh, I put the responsibility of silence.
Oof.
Is what I wrote down. And it has to do with just situations in general. And like recently, I've found myself in meetings and I see so many dynamics in this meeting. Like, that lady's blowing smoke up her ass. This person is doing this, manipulation, and I see it so clearly. And that's what I put. We can know. We can see the elephants. We can see the demons. We can see the ghouls, the goblins, all these things in our life, and the angels too, in the good and bad situations. But sometimes silence and patience they are the answer to those moments. It's like, I don't have to chop that thing's head off right now. Or I can see the angels are surrounding this person, but I don't have to tell them that right now. It doesn't change the fact of what's going on. But I felt like kind of like we talked about, sometimes the answer is be silent and it will come to you on a silver platter. Either it's a snake and you get to chop its head off, or it's a message for somebody. It's a seed to be planted. And it'll hit and sink in without any thorns, without any birds. It'll go in. And that's what the Lord was talking to me yesterday about some of the manipulation tactics and stuff like that. In some of these meetings and things that I'm in, it's like, I see the elephant in the room. I see it. I see what's going on. But silence and patience, there's something to it. And then another one, this one had me like chills, but I was hearing almost like I was seeing it from all the different perspectives of like God saying, I can't wait for you to discover who you are, to realize what you are truly capable of, who you are. And then you see the darkness like, we don't want them to know who they are. Please don't find out who you are.
Yeah.
And then the earth, creation groaning like, please wake up. Just waiting. The ball, it's just all on us to just realize, not to even do anything, but just to realize who we are.
Yeah.
And everyone is like waiting for it. Like, please wake up. That one was hitting me yesterday. And it's like, we're like sharks and there's blood in the water. When we get a scent of it, it's like, it's too late.
That's funny because I've been thinking about that. That was one of the things I was really meditating on in my run yesterday, is just the value of recognizing who you are. And what does that feel like when you show up in any space fully as you?
Yeah.
The most authentic you, where you're not trying to cover, you're not trying to hide, you're not in any, even like trying to figure out what's happening, like you're just here.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? One of the things, I won't fully go into it, but one of the things that the Lord told me yesterday was that each one of us are a carrier of the ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
And as I was sitting in that and thinking about that, I was like, that's literally what we're doing here upon the earth. We are imparting ancient wisdom and unlocking the ancient wisdom within each other
Yeah.
as we stand in silence, and as we are patient, and as these things develop, of just like, what does that look like to wait in patience and wait for the right opportunity to hit on something. And almost like sometimes we feel the urgency to jump in on something, or the urgency to call something out, or like to correct something. But like actually asking the Lord, like, okay, what's the timing of these things? And then when it is time, making sure that we're actually articulating correctly, you know, with I think mercy,
Yes,
and grace, but still drawing lines, you know, especially because I think a lot of the time there's like, it's confrontational things that sometimes have to be addressed.
Yeah.
You know, and there's this hesitation of like, how do I say that? How do I not say that?
Yeah, deliver the truth with grace and mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that looks like sitting with the Lord in silence.
Yeah.
Sitting with the Lord in solitude.
Yeah. And
you know?
the feeling of it too, I kind of equate it to like when you give somebody a word. Like you can go out and almost headhunt, like, what do you have for that person? What do you have for that person? But when it's out of love, it's natural and it just happens.
Totally.
I think the same thing. It feels kind of like a similar feel to that of like, oh, here it is. This is the time for it.
Yeah.
And it's still and it's quiet when that moment shows up.
That's how it's been when I've seen the Lord do this over and over and over, where we've had, as a business owner, there are times that you just see that things aren't working out. And whether that be with like employees is like the best example that I've got.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, man, this isn't their strength. This isn't good for them. This isn't good for us. Like, things kind of need to happen.
Yeah.
And Zach and I were talking about this yesterday. It's so interesting to watch when you sit with the Lord and you wait for the timing of the Lord.
Yeah.
Things are way easier.
Yeah.
We've done that with every single employee, and I'm saying every single time I have felt like, hey, this needs to shift.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to go separate ways.
Yeah.
They approach us every single time. And it's like, they leave in their own volition. I've never had to fire somebody.
Yeah.
I've wanted to fire people.
Sure.
But I've never had to.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Not in like a negative way, just like,
just out of necessity. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, yo, this just isn't working.
Yeah.
This isn't working for you. It's not working for me. The health of it would be better for everybody if we go another way.
Yeah.
But sitting in patience, waiting. It's kind of like the dream that I had the other night, you know, where there's like Zach and I retreated into a bedroom and we had to like cover the windows.
Yeah.
And there was like these two angels that they were coming in and they were actually helping us get direction.
Yeah.
But it was like a place of solitude for us. It was a place of like, basically like, this is the time for you.
Yeah. Solitude is a theme right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think there's something about it though. You know, like you and I talked about, that's what the Lord did.
Yep.
The Lord retreated into the wilderness.
All the time. And
He would go away to pray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's so much that's added to you in solitude that you can't get anywhere else. You know, like.
And there's like a line too of between solitude and isolation. Isolation is almost like a self-induced. I have to get away from people, from the purpose of getting away, separating.
Yeah.
Separation is the key to isolation. But solitude is almost like seeking Him.
Yeah. It's a place of charge.
Yeah.
Like recharging.
Right. Another thing that we talked about too, and it makes me think of like what you're saying, like, yeah, I've wanted to fire people, but then it comes back around at this perfect timing. Right when things get super hot, it's like, there you go.
Yep.
It's almost like that grace of His is how He serves us sometimes. That is Him underhandedly, hey, here's this for you. Thanks for waiting on me. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, dude. You can delete all that silence, right? It took me a minute to grab my...
I apprecited that silence because I had a thought that I lost. I'm trying to get back.
No,
weekly.
I just
daily
wanted to
occurrence.
share about like the Lord serving us.
Yeah.
You know, I had one of those words at group one night that I felt like the Lord said, "Let me serve you."
Yep.
And honestly, it messed with my brain for a minute. I was like, that can't be a real word. Like, why would the Lord serve us? Like, we're called to serve him. Like,
Yeah.
and like, logically in my mind, I was making rationale of it. Like, yeah, he's the servant and he's the chief servant. So, but what does that look like?
Yeah.
And anyways, well, I stumbled upon, side note, I always see lately the inversion of numbers. So I'll see like 2112 or 1771.
Like there's a mirror right in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I would ask the Lord about it, and he would say, "You're my reflection.
Oh,
You're my
cool.
reflection." And it was like a man who forgets what he looks like, you know, in James, like he looks in a mirror and then he forgets. And I could feel the Lord reaffirming my identity of like, you are my reflection. But what I thought was super dope was I was praying the other day and I randomly found this scripture, and it's John 21:12. And it's right after Jesus was crucified and he came back and the disciples were out and they were catching all the fish, right? And they caught 153. Well, it says, "Come, let's have some breakfast," Jesus said to them. And not one of the disciples needed to ask who it was, because every one of them knew it was the Lord. Then Jesus came close to them and served them the bread and the fish. And it struck me so hard. It was like the Lord confirming that word for me of like, well, Jesus actually came and he served them.
Yeah.
He was serving them breakfast on the beach.
Yep.
And then that's when Jesus restored Peter.
Yeah.
He was like, "Do you love me?" But and that was the third time that Jesus had appeared to them, which I felt like even that was significant.
Yeah.
But to me, when we allow the Lord to serve us, that's where we're sitting in solitude. That's where we're sitting in rest, and we're waiting for him to serve it up.
Yeah.
We're waiting for him to bring the perfect timing.
And it's prepared too. He cooked it.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're waiting for that perfect time to release the word. Kind of what you were saying of just like we wait.
Yeah.
And then we wait for the perfect time, because then when he serves it up to us, it's a full meal.
Right.
But are you ready for this too? This is funny. So then later, when it says after they had breakfast, Jesus said to Peter, "Simon, do you love me?" That word love, it's from the Aramaic word love, which is Hooba, Hooba, Hooba.
Yeah.
And it's taken from a root word that means to set on fire.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was brilliant, dude.
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard that before.
No. But to me,
To like ignite.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like the places that the Lord is going to serve you is going to be the places that he's going to set on fire.
Man. Yeah.
That's what it made me think of. It's like, let him serve you in that area, because he is the all-consuming fire.
Yeah.
It is his love that is going to burn within you, but by God, it's going to be set ablaze.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. So I think there's a place of that, you know, where we completely rest in knowing that even if things are kicking up, because you know, you and I have talked a lot about this. There's been like some wild things that have happened.
Of course.
But it looks like things are on fire. But it's because he's setting ablaze something within us.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, like that is like the passion of God being ignited within us. There's expansion, there's growth, there's hope, there's
such refinement and purity.
Yeah.
It's like light everything on fire, all of it. Yeah.
Because you'll shine bright.
Burn it all. Yeah. If it doesn't belong, it won't be here anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But then it made me think of like, this is another rando. So have you heard of that movie Elemental?
Oh, yeah.
Side note, did you know that's a demonic term?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's like a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
I can't fully go into the details because I cannot remember it.
Okay. You mean just like...
Though that word elemental
Uh-huh.
has like a some kind of connotation to some kind of demon.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to retract that because I need to find it.
I've heard it somewhere, something too. Yeah, like there's a, yeah. That sounds familiar.
Hold on. Let me look real quick.
Maybe it's an Eastern thing. It sounds like if there's a fire god or a water god, they're elemental gods.
It's the demon elementals, are demons who inhabit the midworld. There's 6 of them.
Okay, yeah. It's probably like the god or the demon of fire, the demon of water, demon of wind, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Oh, that's right. They come and they're fixed forms.
Okay.
So elementals are demons who like when they come into this domain,
they're element.
They're an element,
okay.
but it's a fixed form. So it's like it's always going to be fire or it's going to be water. Like,
okay.
It's not just like a free floater.
I've
like
heard
it's going to take form.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, that was a random because we just watched the movie, The Elemental. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Kelsey and Kyla watched it, and then I saw some of it.
It was sweet.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I really liked it. But one of the things that stood out to me was fire, right? That's what they have like cute, fun burn names or something. I don't remember what.
Sure.
Ember was her name.
Okay. Wow.
Like
I put that name in a story I wrote.
Oh, that's funny.
2 weeks ago. I hadn't even seen Elemental. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It had to do with fire, though.
That's funny.
It was that one we were talking to Dr. Judd about.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, that sounds like a cool name. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, so did the other writers.
Yeah, something to it.
But she was able to, her fire, she would pull glass and she would change it and she would form it.
Yeah.
And it made me think of like our ability to be molded and transformed. Because to me, like glass being
causes chemical change, yes, transformation,
complete transformation, and it's like
a new element,
it's completely something new, and it just pumped me up. I was like, yes, dude, like that's what the fire is for. We're to be morphed. We're to be, and he's never going to change us out of our true state.
Yeah.
It's going to only make us embody more of who we are.
Yeah, it's like fear shouldn't even be associated with fire.
Totally.
Unless you're attached to something you think is you.
Yeah.
Because that will get burned away.
Yeah.
And if you think that's you, then that would be scary.
I think that's why it's painful.
I think so, yeah.
Because we've so identified as this is who I am.
False identity,
yeah. Yeah. But it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Solitude.
What was that word for love that you said in Aramaic?
Hooda? It's Hooda.
Okay, well that word.
No, Hooba.
Hooba. So
Hooba.
Solitude, Hooba, fire.
That's what the title of this should just be, like Hooba.
It will be. That's it.
But I think that's what sets people on fire. It's what sets people to fly. It's what, like, if we would only just rest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And go for a run. This was something I've started doing every time I'm out and about. It's interesting when you start paying attention to your brain, how much your brain runs around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And how much it can go chase a bunch of different things. It's funny. I've had to keep telling my brain, like, no, live here.
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, stop living in the future. Like, live here. And, but the running gives you so much space to think about. And I love thinking about that and meditating and, like, who am I to you, God?
Yeah.
Who are we in this earth? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
How do we access the greater works? Not just access, but, like, live them.
Yeah.
How do we move? How do we fully display?
Yeah.
Because I'm not content with where we're at.
No, I'm not either. And I think one thing with the runs too is like there will be not just runs, but it's a place for it. But they're like, you get hints of past the facade of like the systems of the world. And it's like there's so much perceptions and grids that we have that we're not aware of.
Totally.
To like this, just the steepest level. But like sometimes you get machinations of like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
It shakes up stuff that we always thought is truth
Mm-hmm.
too. There's things it's like, oh, is that even? I was for sure that was 100%. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's a series. It is like a series of decisions. I've concluded. I think running is a constant decision making process, especially when it gets tough.
It's brilliant.
But yeah. And even if you don't run, find something to do with your hands or
anything to get that ecstasy going.
It's a discipline, but it kind of gets your flesh in check and just do something. And then it'll open up some free space for you.
Mm-hmm.
And almost shut off time too. It's almost timeless.
Yeah. And this was something that I did just to get going again, was like I scheduled in my walks.
Yeah.
And I think my consistency in walking opened up for me to be able to go run.
Yeah.
And I've had stuff like on walks and stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like I've totally had just as much of the download. I just thought it was interesting that yesterday was the day that I like decided to go all in on it.
That's good.
You know, it's the furthest I've ever ran.
That's good.
In my entire life.
Yeah. It's impressive.
I mean, most people are like, that's ridiculous.
And it wasn't like ceremonious, like you 2 weeks out, you were like, all right, next Tuesday, I'm going to run, however long for an hour.
Nope. I was just in the moment.
It was like, oh, all right, we're doing this in the middle of it.
Yeah. Just wanted to.
Great. Good. All right.
Go run. Go get some solitude.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you'd like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. And everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.